last month. About September 15th, we did issue $4 million in long-term bonds, and we found that the market in our instance was quite attractive. We received a total of 6 bids, and the total interest rate that we would have paid was just over 3.8% on all of our long-term debt financing. So from our perspective, we were found to be an attractive investment by those people that were out there. We've also had our bond rating. We had to go through a bond rating review last month. We had Moody's Investor Services come in. They did a top-to-bottom review of the town's financial operations and what our financial health would be, and we're able to maintain our bond rating at A1. So you know, we're comfortable that at least on a short-term basis we'll be able to go forward and issue bonds. In terms of the ultimate long-term of where this thing goes, we don't know, but from the town's point, we have proven to be an attractive investment option, and the rates that we received were quite low as a result of a borrowing that we did approximately 2.5 weeks ago.
Ms. Mullen.
Rita Mullen, 163 Chestnut Street. Although I don't always agree with the selectmen, and I always voice to them when I don't agree with them, I do have to answer to Mr. Rowe that I do believe last April and at all the hearings we were told by the selectmen there were a lot of things are going to be postponed until October because they didn't know how much money they had. So I think that's not something they tried to sneak on us tonight. We were told that these things are going to have to come up later, and then you might find that October and April are not always going to be the way they used to be in the past because things are changing. We don't find out how much money we're going to get from the state until sometimes 2 months later. So I do believe we were told by the selectmen that this would probably happen this October.
Yes, Jim Perkins again, and believe you me, I am reluctant to get up, but I had a question about the expenditure for municipal department vehicles. I thought I saw on the presentation on the screen here that the 2 vehicles were SUVs and they were for $96,000. And then I don't see a $96,000 on this. I see $48,000 on this item 6. Can you help me out there? Am I confused on that?
Mr. Valiakonis.
Sir, the total amount requested is $48,000. When we originally put the proposal together, we were looking at some smaller type of SUV type of vehicles, but this would be for $48,000 for a total of 2 vehicles.
Where did the $96,000 come from? That was on the screen when you presented that summary.
Mr. Valiakonis.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Originally, the town had received, was considering our proposal where we'd be buying a 3rd vehicle. The 3rd vehicle was to be purchased for the fire department. As I mentioned in my earlier presentation, question is it affordable? And we pulled that request back. So again, the total request here is for $48,000 for 2 vehicles.
Now, did you say that the expense of having the personal vehicles used by the employees was $14,000 a year?
Yes.
And that includes the purchase of the gasoline, etc. So when you buy these vehicles, you're going to have to purchase fuel, and do you provide insurance and other things for that as well?
Yes, sir.
I see. So I don't know, is this going to be a cost savings, or why would you want to own the vehicles rather than have the employees use them? Because you're going to be responsible for the repairs, for the gasoline, for the insurance, and I think $14,000 sounded to me like it was a real bargain.
Mr. Valiakonis.
Keep in mind that one of the things that we're trying to accomplish here is a level of professionalism in our operation. People are home at the day and they see a van pull up and they don't know that it's the building inspector. not only are we looking for a cost savings, and I think $14,000 a year for 2 vehicles is a lot of money. Keep in mind that these are vehicles that will be available. They'll be available to the staff in those departments if they need to go out and do inspections or do work. It's just a matter of, in my judgment, of efficiency and professionalism. What we're trying to accomplish is by having people using town vehicles versus using their own personal vehicles. And at any time, those employees may say to us that it's costing them more than $14,000, and we will be in a position which is not advantageous in terms of negotiation. We're really stuck between a rock and a hard place on the issue.
My only response to that, and the reason that I speak it tonight, is that I think we are in a financial crisis, and I don't think we are helping ourselves by taking a more expensive option. Professionalism is something that is expendable in a case when you're confronted with a budget crisis. And I can see us digging ourselves into a deeper hole. I agree with Mr. Rowe that I think we ought to postpone this until the April meeting. Thank you.
Further discussion? Seeing none, this requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Chair is in doubt. Would my tellers please step forward? All those in favor, please raise your hands. Mr. Jervy.
51-5-1.
Ms. Colella.
56.
Mr. Norton.
56-5-6.
All those opposed?
$14.
Mr. Jervy.
1.
Mr. Norton. Those are the loudest 23 people I know. Motion carries. It was 163 for, 23 against. Article 8. Mr. Harris.
Mr. Moderator, I move to rescind bond authorizations as specified in Article 8 as printed in the warrant.
We have the motion. Does the Board of Selectmen wish to make a recommendation? Mr. Harris.
Yes, Mr. Moderator, the Board of Selectmen recommends.
For the Finance Committee, Mr. Jones.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends. This is a housekeeping article to rescind the unexpected balance of a bonded project approved by town meeting. In the eyes of the state, lenders, and bond rating companies, it still remains an obligation of the town until such action is requested tonight. The only regret is that the decimal point isn't as far to the right as we should have been.
Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Article 9, Mr. Delaney.
Mr. Moderator, I move to establish a special purpose stabilization fund pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 5B, for other post-employment benefits for school and municipal retirees, and to transfer from free cash the sum of $1 as specified in Article 9 as printed in the warrant.
For the Board of Selectmen recommendation, Mr. Delaney.
Board of Selectmen recommends.
For the Finance Committee, Mr. Wolpin.
The Finance Committee has voted unanimously to recommend passage of this article, which seeks to establish a stabilization fund for post-retirement benefits. A recent government-required actuarial audit has determined that under the Statement of Government Accounting Standards Board number 45, we're underfunded, that there's no immediate danger that obligations won't be met, and no funds exist at this time to add to the proposed funds. We feel it's prudent to establish the fund as a placeholder for additions in the future.
Further discussion? Mr. Kirby.
I think it's very important for folks to understand the magnitude of the issue that we're facing with respect to this issue. Although we're choosing to allocate $1 to this fund in conjunction with its inception, the actual unfunded liability that this town faces with respect to this issue is nearly $40 million. $40 million, which is basically being deferred to be paid for through future years and generations. This is, to a large extent, significant parallels with the financial practices that we've been experiencing at a national level. And it is very imperative that we end up developing an overall coherent strategy to deal with this issue. By way of reference, the unfunded current liability is almost equivalent to 1 year's of operating budget for this entire town. So we should not at all lose sight of the magnitude of this issue. And a $1 contribution is, I would ask that we at some point be able to develop a thought process that says, what is it that we have to fund, not what is it that we believe that we have available to fund for this obligation, because delaying the day of reckoning will be very painful.
Further discussion? This is the establishment of a stabilization fund, requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I declare the motion carries by a 2/3 vote. Article 10, Mr. Messeri.
Mr. Moderator, I move pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 82A and 520 CMR 14.00 to authorize the town administrator to designate the board or officer that is to act as the town's permitting authority for the issuance of permits for the purpose of creating a trench, as that term is defined at 520 CMR 14.02 as specified in Article 10 as printed in the warrant.
For the Board of Selectmen recommendation, Mr. Messeri.
The board recommends, as a result of it being a state mandate.
For the Finance Committee, Mr. Carter.
The purpose of this article is to bring the town into compliance with recent state regulations. It's a purely administrative action with no cost to the town. The Finance Committee has voted unanimously to recommend passage of this article.
Gerald Woodmansey, 34 Elm Street. I have a question on this. When this goes through, if it does go through, which it probably will, and they name a person, the problem we have usually with a lot of trenches are after a year or two, or same as on our highway, Route 62, after a couple of years we have all kind of settling. all your water shutoffs are way down below the surface. The contractor is gone. We still have to put up with these roads. They've done a extensive on 114